So you should have actually done the readings from 353 to 360 already and taken some notes. So today's lesson is quite interactive. We're going to use the Google Jamboards that are linked to your DET account to talk about ways to establish a business and formalize that business establishment. There are 3 ways that we can establish a business. As we go through the website, you'll see this page is actually quite boring, but that's because we're going off the page and moving to the Jamboards. So the 3 ways of establishing a business: you can set up a new business from scratch. It's your idea. You put it all, you do the paperwork, you do the administration, you advertise it, everything from scratch. The second way is that you buy an existing business. When you buy an existing business, the main thing you're buying is the customer base and the reputation. On top of that, if it's a manufacturing business and you're producing a good, you're also buying the machinery and how it currently runs in hope to add value to it with your management skills. And lastly, you can buy a franchise. A franchise, you are under the banner of a well-established name, which usually comes with high integrity and a huge market base. So they're the 3 ways that you can establish a new business. So let's go into a startup here. Now, for today's lessons to work, it can only work if everyone participates on the Jamboard and everyone participates correctly on the Jamboard. For example, not drawing Homer Simpson. It can only work if you write in full sentences and not just dot points. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is we're going to look at the startup. So sometimes conditions, and that's talking about economic conditions, are more favourable to starting a new business. In the conditions we're in now, as time goes on, if these conditions last for a long time, you'll see more and more startups happening because people are desperate to find their way out and their own financial freedom, that they're willing to do almost anything, and the entrepreneurial spirit comes out. Okay, this is where we see a lot of new technologies and new ways of thinking, new ideas come out in the marketplace when things are going tough. So startups is when a person has created something unique. It starts a business to market their innovation or invention. We looked at that with Instagram, didn't we, last lesson? A person recognizes that there's a gap in the market, and maybe that the consumers might not be satisfied or might not know yet that they're not satisfied. This is when the market has grown and existing businesses can't supply all the customers. That's also a reason why you would start up. So what I want you to do on the Jamboard, and I've set it out for you, if you click this link here, it will take you to a Jamboard, and on one side you're required to list one advantage of starting up your own business, and on the other side you're to list one disadvantage of starting up a business. Now you are a very smart class, so you are able to dig deep to find advantages and disadvantages, and most of you are able to also dig deep to make up your own. Okay, there are lots of advantages and disadvantages. You've just got to dig deep, draw from the knowledge that you've read, draw from what you already know about businesses, or maybe sit there and think, what would put me off starting my own business? A disadvantage. Or what attracts me to starting my own business? An advantage. The second factor here, we've got buying an existing business. When an existing business is purchased, the business is already operating and everything associated with the business is included in the purchase. Equipment, the premises, the customer base, the bills, the staff, the location, the reputation, the goodwill. So if you plan on buying an existing business, you also have to ask yourself the question or do some research into, does this business have a good reputation? Am I going to be able to build on that reputation, uphold the reputation, or does it have a lousy one and that's why they're selling it? You've really got to analyze the pros and cons. If you're purchasing an existing business, it's essential to know why a business is for sale. You have to look at the last 3 years of accounts. Are they going up? Are they going backwards? Understand why they're growing or not growing. And then you have to determine just if it's financially viable to actually buy this business. And of course, to know if the goodwill and reputation is not overstated. Is what they say they're selling you the real thing? So again, you're going to use a Jamboard. and you are going to, again, together create a list of advantages and disadvantages. Unless you all participate in this, it's not going to work. So make sure you dig deep, think about the business, list one disadvantage, one advantage of starting that business. We can categorize it later. Our third type of business setup is buying a franchise. Now, you all know about franchises. You've got McDonald's and Kentucky Fried Chicken, Porto. There's a whole range of franchises out there. And some people choose to start a franchise in hope of avoiding many of the problems that are associated with starting a new business. It is for a set fee, and the small business owner receives the benefits of a successful business formula, a well-recognized name, and established trademarks. Franchising operations tend to have fewer teething problems to start with because the reputation and the customer base is already there. It is the fastest growing area of small business with approximately 1,300 franchises in Australia, and it's around 128 billion. Again, you are going to use a Jamboard to talk about at least one advantage or disadvantage of a franchise. For me, a franchise would be a disadvantage for me, but might be an advantage for you, that there is a set of rules that you have to adhere to. So if you buy a franchise, you still have to run the business as if you're getting managed by someone else. It gives less freedom to do things just a little bit differently or a little bit better. Okay, after you've done all that, we're going to now consolidate all these ideas, and you're going to head back to these 3 Jamboards. First Jamboard was the advantage and disadvantage of startup. You're going to have a look through everyone's responses, and unless everyone's responses are responded, I'll say it again, this will not work. You're going to look at those responses, and you are going to write a peel paragraph in your about the advantages and disadvantages of a startup. And then you're going to do the same thing for buying an established business, and you're going to do the same thing for a franchise. Now, unless you go back to the Jamboard after you've already participated, you will not have a clear idea of how to write a really good paragraph, because as you guys are going into that Jamboard and the first time, I'm also going to be going in there and guiding people to restructure their sentences to make them really punchy and really good, so that when you come to this third activity, you'll be ready to go and with all the information to write a really good peel paragraph for all of them. You need to have more than one factor or one advantage or disadvantage. Good luck. Our last activity is just reading and summarizing this link on the right, just turning a business idea into a business. And that's it. I'm hoping that this is a more collaborative lesson that sparks a little bit more interest and that makes you want to participate. If you've missed our Zoom session for whatever reason, just go on to this last section here and read everyone else's and try to construct those peel paragraphs well. And also remember to sign in, as in on today's work on the Google Classroom. Just write that you're here so that I can mark the role correctly. Good luck, guys.